president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than...
I'm sorry, Kamala, but we call cap. Real big cap. I mean, just the other day, you was talking about Bidenomics and whoop, whoop, whoop. The time has come. Kamala Harris sits down with Dana White, and I was honestly quite surprised. I didn't get a chance to watch it in full. I kind of was able chiming in and out, but I did dive into some clips afterwards. But yeah, man, I was burdened by what has been when I watched this. Seriously, you know, but we're gonna dive right into this, man. I'll let the jokes write themselves. Bash asks, what do you say to voters who want to go back because their groceries were less expensive and all that? And yeah, Kamala responded how you think she would. Exactly how you thought she would.
But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging.
Did anybody else gather what I gathered? Inflation good, Trump bad? Really? It's like, the thing that bothers me and should bother other people is the fact that she can't take any accountability whatsoever. She's like, oh yeah, yeah, it's Trump's fault. Trump did it. And we like, no, you realize we lived in that time, right? Excuse me, I think I'm about to sneeze. No. Ooh, excuse me. Oh man, I know that messed up the mic. I'm sorry. I gotta get a new system. Let's read a few responses. Kamala only response to economic issues and inflation was capping insulin at $35 for seniors. A policy Trump also enacted. Seniors on insulin account for 3.3% of the American population. What about the other 330 million Americans? Didn't do anything for them. Somebody said the only plan she has is to have government regulate and control prices of food and housing to implement their agenda of communism. Somebody else wrote, I wonder if Puppet Walls knows what's going on. I don't know, man. You see, she needed to bring an assistant, which I thought was pretty odd. You know, you're trying to be the leader of the fruit. Hey, do what you need to do, you know. But she was asked a very specific question about what she would do on day one if she was elected president. And the answer was Kamala la 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 la.
If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and in an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
Somebody in the comment section made the complaint that she never liked that question to any presidential candidate. It's a ridiculous question, and she answered it the best she could, as did the previous candidate for presidency. Okay. Trump said he was going to be a dictator on day one. Somebody said, yeah, that's a really good point. But good point. But to me, I feel like that should be a really easy question if you're not lying, right? If you're not a liar, you should be able to go, oh yeah, woo. You know what I mean? So yeah, everybody's gonna hold on to the whole dictator thing with Donald Trump and completely obliterate the context and all that. Anyhow, we're gonna move on. Kamala Harris has no regrets about covering up Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline and lying to the American people, for that matter.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president.
I'll translate it for you if it went over your head. She has no regrets online to the American people at all. It's obvious that what she's saying about Joe Biden just isn't true. We watched it. We've seen it with our own eyes. I mean, you know, I guess everything is subjective nowadays. You make your own judgment. But what I observed, no. Heck, you know. Heck no. Somebody said her saying Joe is so smart is all I needed to hear to confirm yet again that this woman is brain dead. Oh, they put it together. The scary part about this is that even after being coached on the question, this was her response. But Kamala blames Trump and the Republicans for the border crisis. Can't make this up.
During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock And 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to
Not
ask
only
about
push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
And it just really enrages me, man, because you have people that's just watching this like, yeah, he sure did. He sure, but that's not true. It's not true. Day one, Biden-Harris campaign canceled all the Trump executive orders regarding closing the border. That's a fact. Biden did not replace those executive orders with new ones he would prefer in order to manage the crisis at all. He just let it happen. They let it happen. And we know why they let it happen. I mean, it's the election year, but okay, whatever. It means that the wide open border was Biden and Biden-Harris. I'm gonna just say it like that, Biden-Harris decision. And they gotta own it. What are you doing out here trying to, oh yeah, you know, it was his fault. You know, he the one, like, yo, what? The root cause, man, straight liar, bro. Lying, like, for real. And it's enraging, dog. But she refused to say whether she legalized crossing the border, though.
you raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws. And I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
So basically, this interview for me is an anti-Trump ad. That's what it seemed like to me. Seemed like a free Trump ad. I don't know, bro. And the fact that this is the worst interview ever, like, and it's supposed to be serious. We got a lot to dive into, you know, a video that I'm gonna post up tomorrow. I'm actually getting ready to go travel, so y'all watching obviously pre-recorded joints, but we're gonna get into the 6 minutes of Kamala Harris, you know, saying that she had no regrets. Remember when I'm sorry, let me start this over. I fumbled the play. But she said that she had no regrets about lying to the American people about Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline. But we have 6 minutes of her doing exactly that coming up next. See y'all in a minute.